And then it can just be part of the handbook.
Because you want it to be in the handbook that they're accessible somewhere.
Right, and I think our point is that we do wanna make revisions, changes, without having to come back to the board every time.
So
whether
can't
it's
you
the
just
handbook or
make it a
policy.
part of the handbook by reference? And just
See, I would
reference,
say that it's, call it whatever you want, but it's a job description pile as determined by the superintendent from time to time. He's the one that's gonna control the job descriptions.
yeah, but in our, what I'm saying is in our handbook, by reference, you can
Yeah.
just say that your job description is included in the separate document that's included.
But not as it is when the handbook was adopted,
Yeah.
but as it may be from time to
As,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, job
But it's just
descriptions can be
as it
found
currently
at the
exists.
But
district
as long as,
office.
as long as it's
something like that.
included by reference, then it meets
Right.
what the attorney was
Right.
saying, is that it should be part of it.
That's what I'm saying, you put something
By
simple in there,
reference.
is just job descriptions can be found at the district office.
Yeah, we do the same thing with our,
Yeah.
we have our lease that a tenant signs and we reference the
Rules and.
tenant handbook.
I wouldn't want these
Just
120 pages added to the employee handbook.
Right. Already
So
just
reference it,
patient.
reference it in the employee handbook and we're good to go.
So you don't need a motion on A, but you do need a motion on B?
Correct.
So moved.
And I would, recommend you don't read all of them.
No.
I
So
will
moved.
second Jeff's motion to remove the board policies listed.
I through 23.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to remove, these job descriptions from the board policy book. And have them referenced, and they have references to them in a binder, associated with the employee handbook. So, am I understanding that correctly? Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all of those in favor of the motion on the floor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next one is consideration of increasing the district capitalization threshold from $1,000 to $5,000, starting with the fiscal year 2018-19. I'll have Jen explain that.
So in 2002, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board came out with statement number 34 that said that districts are required to capitalize their fixed assets on the financial statements. So basically at that time, we had to set a limit, what's considered a fixed asset for our district, and we chose $1,000. So you can guess now, fast forwarding to 2019, that you can't buy as much for $1,000 as you were able to back in 2002. So right now, we're currently working on our fixed asset reporting for last fiscal year, 2018-19, as we get ready to finalize our financial statements. So it came up because of that, and also mostly with food service, we've been running into issues because if we have repairs or any type of equipment that is over $5,000 per DPI guidelines, then you have to get separate approval from DPI. So we have to submit a form to DPI, they have to approve it and all this stuff. But if the district's capitalization threshold is less than 5,000, then we have to go by that standard. So right now, we're in a spot where anything that costs more than $1,000, we have to go to DPI and get special approval to be able to spend that money before we can actually do anything. So you can see that this is becoming an issue.
Is there any downside?
Not that I can see. I mean, really, it would just be that we're not keeping track of those assets as closely that are between $1,000 and $4,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion, Scott, second, Jeff, approve the increase from $1,000 to $5,000 for the district capitalization threshold, starting with fiscal year 18-19. Any further discussion, questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item is our consideration of the budget, tax levy, and mill rate for the 2019-20 fiscal year.
I think the board has a packet, but if you don't have one, I've got them right here, you can come and grab.
Okay.
So as we went through the, student count and all the different things, of course, what we submitted at the annual meeting has changed. We received our general equalization aid certification. It came in slightly less than what our July estimate was. That is the green sheet. Our revenue limit worksheet is the yellow. One thing to point out, with our revenue limit, we had anticipated that our resident student count would increase by 20 students for 2019-20, and we actually decreased by 13 students. So instead of having a 3-year rolling average of 1602 that we estimated at the annual meeting, our rolling average is 1590. Now that's still an increase from last year, because we had a low in 2016 that dropped off. We had 1,556. So our 3-year rolling average still increased, it just didn't increase as much as we had anticipated. However, on the flip side of that, our open enrollment revenue was much higher than we had originally budgeted for. And so we have increased that substantially from, we used our, in Opal, it'll print off a report that shows as of the specific date that you printed how much we will receive for open enrollment revenue. Of course, providing all the students remain open enrolled throughout the year. And then we added an additional 12 full-time equivalency to that. So basically, if we had 25 students between now and the end of the school year, that would average out to about 12 full-time equivalency. And we felt that that was pretty reasonable. So our revenue limit is just over 16,535,000. And that includes 1.1 million in energy efficiency levies, which is reduced by 67,000 per DPI regulations. So we have our energy efficiency payments that we're required to make, but we have to reduce it by the amount of savings on energy that is projected. So that amount was 67,813. At the annual meeting, we also anticipated that our property evaluation would increase by 7%. It actually came in at just under 7.5%, so that was a little bit more than we had anticipated. So as far as revenue changes, now these are just the changes on the second page of your packet. These are just the changes from the annual meeting until now. So for revenues, we changed the tax levy per our revenue limit worksheet. We changed our open enrollment in to reflect that the amount that we currently have open enrolling in plus an additional 12 full-time equivalency throughout the school year. We updated our general aid to the October 15th certification. We did have a couple reductions. Source 630 was reduced for the personal computing device grant. We became aware of that shortly after the annual meeting last summer. We increased source 690 for our per pupil adjustment aid that went from $654 per student up to $742. Source 730 and 750 both got adjusted slightly to the actual amount of Title I and Title II revenue that we will receive. So total Fund 10 receipts will be $19,514,523 compared to the annual meeting at $19,219,613. Our Fund 21 and 27 revenue, you'll notice at the annual meeting, we had 0 budgeted for Fund 21 revenue. But now that all of our Fund 60 accounts have been transitioned to Fund 21, we added budget amounts for all of those. So what Tim and I had talked about was adding a budget amount equivalent to what their beginning balance was. So on July 1st, if their old Fund 60 account had a balance of $5,000, that's what we gave them for a budget for this year. Cause that money transitioned over for them. So that's the $227,943. We also had a slight change in Fund 27 special education revenue, and that was mostly based on the transfer from Fund 10 to cover some additions that we had. Fund 10 expenditures, you can see that almost all the different functions changed. So I kind of went through and summarized the reasons why, what's going on here. So for insurances, we had estimated an 11% increase in health insurance at the annual meeting, but we were able to sign another 3-year agreement with Health Partners, and that reduced our increase to 7%. So we saved a little bit of money there, and we also locked in rates for 2021 at a cap of 9% and 2022 a cap of 11%. So again, that's another 3-year agreement with Health Partners. At the annual meeting, we estimated no increase in life insurance, and the 2020 rates came in with a 6% increase. We estimated 5% increase in dental insurance, and that came in at 6% as well. We decided to change our vision insurance company to Reliance Standard. We were looking for better coverage as well as additional provider network. The provider network with Davis Vision was very small. It was basically Shopco and maybe a couple other places, but it was very limited. So now we are going to be on the VSP network, and it sounds like they have a lot more eye clinics that they work with. So not only that, but we had a decrease of 17.5% on our cost, and that came with a 2-year rate lock. So we know we're good for 2 years. Our long-term disability, we estimated at a 3% increase, and our actual increase came in at 9%. So that again was a little bit more than we had anticipated. Some positions that we added into the budget that have already been approved by the board were a 1 full-time equivalency grounds crew supervisor, a 7.5-hour-a-day middle school special education para, and a 7.5-hour-per-day elementary special ed para. With the budget that is presented, we also have some additional positions being added, a 0.5 FTE gifted and talented teacher, 25 hours per week for ESL support, a 0.5 full-time equivalency virtual education secretary, a 7.5-hour per day para at the Trinity Lutheran 4K site, and a 0.5 full-time equivalency school psychologist. So those are all the payroll related items that are changes to the budget. And then we did have a few miscellaneous things. We added $1,500 for ESL supply budget, $6,000 to technology, $7,000 for board mailings for the postcards that are going out, and $10,000 for some new cafeteria tables at the middle school. This budget also does allocate about $180,000 into fund balance so that we can maintain our 17% fund balance. Any specific questions?
Not at this point.
Okay, maybe the only other small thing to point out is in Fund 40, in June, we earned $80 of interest, so we didn't quite get it closed out. So I added that $80, and of course, we've already spent it and closed that out now, so just one final tweak. If you go to the third page, then you can see at the top what the recommendation was at the annual meeting, and then you can see what the recommendation is for tonight's budget changes.
We ready for a motion, Howard?
So yeah, if there's any questions for Jen at this point, otherwise I'll recommend a motion.
Make a recommendation, or motion to make a recommendation to approve a tax levy of $7,588,479 for the 2019-20 school year with a mill rate of .010376669 to support that Fund 10 budget expenditures of $19,344,453, Fund 30 budget expenditures of $4,083,027, and Fund 80 expenditures of $430,000.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion Kirk, second Jeff. Adopt the motion. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, at this time, is there any other business we need to bring up?
No, I just wanna say I love these meetings where we bring in the kids and the programs and it just reminds us, grounds us, and reminds us why we do what we do. Really good meeting.
Okay, I can't think of anything else I need to bring up. Moving on to the upcoming important dates, then this Wednesday will be the WASB Fall Regional Meeting, 6 p.m. in Menominee at the Stout Ale House. November 4th will be a Wage and Benefit Committee meeting at 4:30 at the high school lecture hall. And also, there will be the SCC Board Learning and Special Meeting, 6:30 here at the district office. I will be gone, and I believe John will be gone, so Kirk will be leading the meeting. And we'll have everybody on their best behavior for Kirk, so. Also, we have the board workshop starting at 5 p.m. At Pier 500 for dinner. Reconvening over at the Phipps Center of the Arts in Hudson on November 15th. November 16th, we meet back at the Phipps Center at 8 a.m. To continue the workshop. November 18th will be our next regularly scheduled board meeting starting at 7 p.m. here in the district office. Is there any other dates that I missed? Pam?
Did you wanna schedule another, meeting, communication
I
meeting?
don't think so.
It's
At
gonna
this
be
point.
Okay.
Okay. So, are there any other dates that I missed? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Motion David,
Aye.
second Kirk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you all.
10 o'clock. Good deal.
We haven't talked to Tom since he's been in Washington D.C.
Oh, really? So he is there? Has he entered ceremony yet?
Yeah.
7th.
They were there for 3